everyone, and welcome to the March 25th, 2025 Business Board of Education meeting. Can we all please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. We'll now move on to correspondence. Ms. Santos?
Okay. All correspondence was via email on 226. Rachel and Andrew Rasbrush had a question on tonight's meeting. 226-25, Francesco Ayani response. 226, Chelsea Maggi regarding incoming third grade concerns. On 226, Francesco Ayani response. Samantha Stapleton on 226, revenue budget proposal concerns. 227, Marnie Zidell on the proposed budget concern. On 227, Jennifer Aldemau regarding Theodore Roosevelt Elementary proposal. On 227, Thomas Windhausen, update on written request. On 228, Rebecca Carlo regarding concerns regarding an email response from Ms. Argaman. On 228, Monica Altamirano regarding the Board of Ed meeting to recognize athletic accomplishments. Annie Hock on 3.3 regarding class size. Carolyn Morales regarding education on 3.4. On 3.5, Christine Lorner regarding concerns. On 3.6, Thomas Windhausen, update on written request follow-up. On 3.6, Adrienne Shurtoff regarding the OBEN swim team. On 3.6, Thomas Windhausen regarding update written request follow-up. On 3.10, Erica Lusher regarding a Board of Ed reduced class size. On 3.10, 3.13, Monica Altamirano regarding the Board of Ed meeting. On 3.16, Adrienne Shurtoff regarding the OBN swim team. On 3.17, there was numerous emails regarding the OBN swim team and Dr. Yanni's responses. And on February 26th to March 5th, 7 emails from Heather Nadani regarding various subjects.
Thank you, Ms. Santos. Now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Yanni for a superintendent report.
Thank you, Ms. Castro-Giovanni, and good evening, everybody. March is Music in Our Schools Month. I didn't know that, but that's what it is. But at Oyster Bay, every month is a celebration of music education. So on March 20th, in the high school gym, we celebrated our bands district-wide, and we had 242 students, and I spoke to a lot of parents, pretty much district-wide, and it was truly impressive to see all the bands playing together. And the last song was Mission Impossible, and they all play at the same time, and I received so many compliments. I didn't have anything to do with it, but I just want to pass that along. So I want to thank obviously congratulate all the musicians, Miss Maisie, our teacher, Mr. DeVesi, Mr. Janetta, Mr. Sizia, and a special conductor was here before my time, Laura Angelone. And obviously I want to thank our director, Erica Giopac, for the wonderful work that she does. I know that she was moving chairs all the way to the last minute to make sure that everything was perfect. So an amazing job, great job, and keep up the great work. March 19th, on Wednesday, March 19th, Roosevelt hosted a first grade social studies night. The first grade and their parents visited 5 activities, and it's always nice to see parents, students, and staff, and also our own students from the Honor Society, Rho Kappa Honor Society, working together with the our younger students at Roosevelt. So they had many activities. So I want to thank everybody, and obviously I want to thank our principal, Miss Deborah Small, for all the work. She's always there, the biggest cheerleader in the school, and the students and the parents really appreciate all your work, Deborah. We're very fortunate to have you, so thank you. March 18th at the high school, we had Jane Poshman from 3GNY, an educational nonprofit organization founded by the children of Holocaust survivors to preserve the legacy and the lessons of the Holocaust. 6th and 8th graders heard about Jane's grandmother's story, and it was truly an impressive presentation. They're really empowering students to become informed about responsible decision and to stand against injustice. So great presentation, and the students enjoyed that very much. I am also in the athletic department. I'm very pleased to announce that we have multiple students in the winter 24-25 season who were named Newsday All Long Island teams. That's a great accomplishment to be named part of a Long Island team, and we were very fortunate because of the work of our students and the athletes, and obviously the coaches and the teachers, to have our students selected in such a prestigious team. So we had Colton Schmeezing has been selected for first team All Long Island for wrestling. We had Luke Kugler, Scarlett Shelley, and Gabriella Sherlock all have been selected for the first team All Long Island for fencing, and Jason Sun was selected for the second team All Long Island for fencing. We're extremely proud of our students, thinking about the size of our schools, and to have so many students represent Long Island coming from our school is truly an impressive accomplishment. So look for their picture in the Newsday, and congratulations again. Oyster Bay is truly a special place. I say that all the time. I'm very proud of being the superintendent of this incredible community. We recently were faced with an unexpected challenge. Some people there really have no respect for the environment and no morals, I would say. They dumped over 500 tires in a property that the school owns that is on 106, and it's between 106 and 25A. It's part of a preserve. Nobody knows that the school owns that property, but what happened after that was truly extraordinary. Together with, and Maureen was there too, on Saturday the community came together, and we literally worked with community members and to clean up over 500 tires and garbage that were dumped in there. We're working with the police department, we're working with the town, we're working with the community, we're installing cameras, we're putting signs in order to prevent this from happening again. But I think that I want to take this opportunity to express my deepest thanks to Supervisor Saladino. He was able to work with us to take all 6 tons of 500 tires, more than 500 tires, and kind of take that. Usually the towns take 4 tires at most. There were like 3 large containers that were taken. So working with the town, a strong partnership with the town, it's truly something that it's quite remarkable. I also want to thank a couple of people that worked really bringing the tires up and physically getting hands dirty. Maureen was there, believe it or not, she was lifting tires. I don't know where she finds the energy, but she did. Mike Rispoli, Wayne Placella, and Jose Guzman. I was coordinating a little bit down too, but I think Maureen did most of the tire removal. I just also want to give a big shout out to Rob Brusca and Captain Mitch. They were so creative in terms of coming up with a system to lift all these tires. So in a couple hours, really the whole place was cleaned up. This experience really highlighted the incredible bond between our schools and our community. Seeing our community come together to tackle an environmental issue is something that it's a lesson learned for everybody. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the community members and the wonderful place that we live in. And so we're going to continue to do whatever it takes to make sure that it stays immaculate as it should be. So thank you again. At this point, I would like to invite to the podium Ms. Raynor for the third budget presentation. And I just want to say a big thank you to Maureen. We also have Zach over here with us and the entire business department. They literally working day and night, literally day and night and weekends to make sure that we present a budget to the board that is fiscally sound and is right for the students, and that's the most important thing. At the end of the day, we will do whatever it takes to make sure that the students get what they need, independently from what we hear from the state, where we get or we don't get from the state. So the idea is to move forward and make sure that the students to get what they need to be successful. So Ms. Raynor, thank you for all your work. Zach, thank you for all your work, and all yours.
Thank you so much. I am pleased to present tonight's third budget presentation. As in past presentations, we will review some of the basics that we saw January and February, as well as go into further details of the revenue expense budget, as well as some of the capital reserve projects you will see on the May ballot. So the work we do is all surrounded from the vision of empowering all students to achieve excellence. But specific to the budget, our mission is to maintain and advance the district in a model of excellence and innovation, providing exceptional opportunities and outcomes for all students while partnering with our community and staff to ensure thoughtful management of our resources and investments in the future. The budget focus has remained the same throughout the year since January first presented, staying within the allowable tax levy cap, aligning the resources to foster growth for student success, appropriately using our capital reserves, and of course promoting our fiscal responsibility. So as presented last time, over the past several years, we've been facing an extremely high CPI, as we all have in our own homes. This year it has slightly come down, or I should say significantly come down, but it's still well over the 2%. So many of our expenses throughout the year are still going up by 3, 4, 5%, but we have a tax cap of 2, which I'll speak about over the next few slides. So most of the confusion does come between the allowable tax levy growth factor and the CPI. Those are not the same. Our CPI is at 3.3%, is what many of our expenses are going up by. The allowable tax levy growth factor is what the New York State Office of Comptroller does limit at the 2%. So what are we allowed to propose for a tax levy increase for year to year? This is the formula given to us by the State of Comptroller, and that outcome of that formula will give us our allowable tax levy, or the amount we are proposing for the community to approve in May. It is a multi-step formula. It is the same formula for all districts across New York State, but because of the factors that go into the formula, you will get a different outcome, which is why you hear different percent increases for district to district. It is due by March 1st. We are in compliance with that. So to go into what those numbers mean and how we arrive at that number for our district, the key components are the tax levy, the prior year tax levy, our property tax-based growth factor, our pilot, our capital exclusions, and of course that 2% number. So going into further details, here you can see for Oyster Bay East Norwich area, our tax-based growth factor is 1.014. In looking at that from previous years, you can see that number has significantly made an impact on our tax cap for this year. Our prior year pilots have stayed fairly consistent, but has slightly increased, which again has an impact, but they are usually pretty predictable numbers. Our allowable growth levy factor is that 2%. So again, although CPI is 3.3%, we are capped at 2%. And you can see here over the past few years, it has been much higher than the 2%. Capped at 2%, obviously. So the local capital levy share is something we've been discussing even going back 4 to 5 years when Dr. Yanni first presented our bond project. You can see it's very important for the district to maintain a consistent debt service level, which you can see here we have. Over the past several years, we have maintained a debt service right around $2.1 million, because again, that helps keep a steady levy for the community without having any fluctuations. That brings us to our allowable tax levy limit for the 25-26 school year of 2.9, which is approximately about $1.7 million increase from a levy to levy, looking at the current school year 24-25 to 25-26. Looking at the budget structure, simply put, revenues have to equal our expenses. The revenue is heavily on the tax levy, which I'll talk about in detail in the next few slides, and tonight we'll go into the expense side of the budget as well. So going back to the presentation that was in February, you can see here that the majority of our revenue for the district is tax levy. 88% comes from the community, which is why Dr. Yanni just said it is so important for us to remain fiscally responsible for our community while making sure the students have everything they need, and we're continuing to enhance the programs. Other than tax levy, we have about a 5% from state aid, which we get, and other revenue is about 7%. And again, I'll go into a little bit details what that is. The tax levy is driven directly from the tax cap that I just spoke about, which again, here you see that approximate 1.7 number, levy increase. Looking at the state aid, back in January, we did get the state aid runs from the governor. You can see here, we received the standard 2% foundation aid that most districts got. We were very, very happy to see at least an increase, since last year at this time we were facing a significant decrease. Our expense-driven aid fluctuates a little bit. It's down about $100,000 for this year, but we did receive that increase in UPK, as we talked about last time, now being able to increase our program, going from a half-day program last year to 2 full-day programs this year to next year having 4 full-day programs. It is a tremendous support for our students. This gives a little bit more of a breakdown on more of the expense-driven aid. You can see there's certain fluctuations. There's certain things like building aid that we will expect to see increase over the next few years as we close out our capital projects from the bond. That aid significantly will go up. Things like BOCES aid fluctuates simply because we add services throughout the year. So this is based on an estimate. Actual aid will change. Looking at the other miscellaneous, it is important that every year the Board of Education, as well as our external auditor, when they present every fall, looks at our reserve funds. It makes us have a long range planning and a good fiscal condition for the district. So each of these are reviewed. We looked at the numbers for each year. This is where we stand for this year. Again, very healthy reserves, which is why we've been able to maintain some balance as we've seen spikes in CPI. So this shows you over the past few years, as the CPI had those spikes in the heavy years, because of this strong financial condition and the long-range planning we've done, we've been able to maintain minimal increases to the community because of this funding. This gives a little bit of an overview on that miscellaneous number towards the end. Simply things from use of facilities, so a lease that we have with another school on Sundays that you see, interest income that we make on interest in our savings accounts, things like that. So putting that all together, our tax levy, our state aid, and our reserves, here you see the year-to-year proposal of what the changes are those numbers. Putting it back to the pie chart, again, the tax levy is 88%, state aid, and other revenue. Going into further detail of this presentation, we're going to look at the expense side of the budget, which of course has to equal the revenue side. So this gives an overview of the major categories. Of course, salaries and wages is the highest because of the nature of a school community. You will see that will always be significant. Benefits goes right along with that. Transportation is always a significant cost for districts. And you see the breakdown of several of the categories. Again, making sure we're consistent year to year and providing exactly what the students need. Putting it together in a pie chart, you do see the salaries and wages, and the benefits make up about 75% of our budget. One important way to look at the budget, which many of you have probably seen in previous years, is in the budget newsletter that goes out, is the 3-part expenditure budget. This is really important because it breaks down the cost from an administrative lens, a program lens, and a capital lens. So here's what you can see that you would have had last spring in your mail, sent home. This is the kind of the items of what it means for each. So in the administrative, it's really the supervision, legal, audit, financial costs. The capital is the facilities, the utilities, where the program is actually the educational costs. That's where all the money for the students, the teachers, things like that are going into. So clearly that's the biggest section of our pie chart. These are the numbers on where we are for this year for the proposed budget. You can see where they are, but more importantly, putting it side by side, you can see from the current approved budget that we're in right now to the proposed budget. I'm proud to say that we're continuing to increase the program expenses while decreasing the other expenses. Again, being fiscally responsible, but making sure the students have everything they need. Putting it all together, year to year, here's your budget from the current approved budget to the proposed budget at just slightly over $2.1 million. This year, we have several capital projects. We're looking to be able to support the work the bond is doing, but also maintain the existing facilities in addition to the work. So, of course, to be able to look at what we're doing for a proposed capital project, we always look back to say what we've used and what we've funded in past years, because we want to make sure we're maintaining a healthy balance each year. So here's a few-year look back, and you can see on the bottom of what the proposed is for this year. So what does that work for? Let's look at kind of some of the projects we're going to see. So at the high school, you will see concrete, asphalt, sidewalk repairs, and a parking lot renovation right here along LaCoons Lane. This auditorium, you can see some of the lights out right now, but the auditorium house lights do need a replacement. And there's several of our older HVAC systems that just need some upgrades and some replacements. So that is the work at the high school. At Theodore Roosevelt Elementary, because of the amazing work with the bond project, the stage has been turned back over to being a stage and not being an additional classroom space. So we're going to be working with both Ms. Julia Pack and Ms. Small to look at how we can really use that space more as a student-centered space in the cafeteria. So we're going to do some minor renovations in there, as well as air conditioning to provide another main area of air conditioning space at TR. There's also some of the older classrooms that just need some carpet and flooring replacements. District-wide, we do have several roofing concerns. So the administration building has a roof that is significantly old and beyond repair. That has to be replaced. And there's some other smaller repairs that we have to do district-wide in all three buildings. That is what makes up the $990,000. Looking at the technology project, this is much thanks to Ms. Gibbons and the 5-year technology plan, making sure our students have all the one-to-one devices we need. So this technology reserve project will support the one-to-one initiative with students having iPads in K through 2, Chromebooks in 3 through 12, where they do get a new one as they move up to the high school, and replacement of staff devices, again, on a very set schedule every few years as they age out, replacing just a few at a year. Additional educational display boards, replacing older ones that have been outdated, and also some security system upgrades. So we are continuing with our timeline. The next meeting will be on April 22nd with the budget adoption, followed by the hearing and then the vote on May 20th. This entire timeline is posted to the website, which you can see. First, let me start with the agenda. Each presentation the night before will be posted here with all the supplement materials, as well as on the district website under Board of Ed. All of the past presentations, as well as the archive for past years, will be on this website for anybody to view throughout the budget season. Additionally, on this presentation, there's some information about whether you're registered to vote, how you register to vote. So I've provided that to the community. It's important to note the last date to register to vote is May 15th. And I've also posted the information for the district clerk's office, which is located at LaCoons Lane in the administration building. Thank you very much.
Ms. Rayner, I was just curious, the renovations that would happen at Roosevelt for the cafeteria, which I have to say are long overdue, so thank you. What would be a time frame, or do you have an idea of a time frame?
Most of the work we should be able to get done this summer. The only one that might be a little bit longer is the air conditioning because of the long lead time and the equipment. But most of the other renovation to be able to put students on the stage will be done by September.
Oh, great, thank you. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any
Any other
questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. Rayner. Okay. Nobody's on. I'd now like to move on to the appointment of officer. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the appointment of officers as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Let me stop to administer it. Congratulations, Ms. Walsh. Thank you. And now I'd like to move on to the approval of minutes. A motion to approve the meeting minutes as listed and attached below. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on to opportunity for the public to be heard agenda item. In accordance with open meeting laws, school board meetings where school district business is to be discussed are open to the public. The Oyster Bay East Norwich Board of Education welcomes public comment at its meetings. The Board of Education will respond to comments and/or inquiries in the appropriate manner. This portion of the meeting is designed exclusively for agenda items. A sign-in book is provided for those residents wishing to address the board. In order to be recognized, you must have signed in. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes. The board president will call you to the microphone in the order in which you have signed in. Public discussion is prohibited regarding matters relating to an individual's reputation, privacy, or right to due process, which in some way could be violated. A second commentary period is provided for non-agenda items prior to adjournment. We thank you for your participation and cooperation, but nobody has signed in. Okay. Then we will move on to instructional personnel items. Approval of instructional personnel items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the instructional personnel items as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now move on to non-instructional personnel items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the non-instructional personnel items as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the approval of business items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the business items as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move on to special services. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the special services resolution as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on to approval of new business resolutions. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the new business resolutions as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. I'd also like to thank the PTA for their donations. We appreciate that very, very much. Next, I'd like to open up for a discussion, an item for discussion, the athletic banners. Dr. Yanni?
Alex, do you mind to put the So over the past couple of years since I've been here, we've been looking at every corner of the school, and we have been trying to revamp everything that has been here. So one of the things that I would like to bring it to the board tonight is the possibility of looking at some of the signs that we have in the gymnasium, and some of them have changed colors over the years. Some of them are falling down, some of them have been up there for many, many years, and I think it's important that we recognize the students, we recognize the hard work of the teams. And so I put together a brief presentation, and I've been working with Shannon McEntee, our new athletic, not new anymore, you're old, you've been in place for a long time. But I've been working with Shannon and Miss Argument and the entire team to just look at what we have and present to the board some options. So I would like to hear your feedback. So when you look at the current banners that we have, they're wonderful representation of the students' accomplishments, but some of them, like I said before, they're changing colors because they're been there for many, many years. So I took a couple pictures just to give you an idea, and we can certainly, I'm sure you have visited the gymnasium many times, so you see some of them the way they're just falling down or being discolored. And I think that it sends a message that, you know, we want to send a message that we care about the students and we care about the hard work. So what I have, and again, this is on the other side, one of the ideas is to change the banners and to organize them in teams, and organizing by teams, and then put all the accomplishments, all the different accomplishments they have every year. And we can update those banners every year once we put it in place. So if the students, if a team will win a championship, they will keep adding, and it's will be part of the entire plan. So when you zoom into the proposed banners, it would have the name of, this is just a girls basketball, would have the team, and it would have all the accomplishments and the years. So once we fill out a banner, then, you know, obviously we'll go to the next one, and we keep adding. I think this would be a wonderful way to reorganize and at the same time to recognize all the hard work of the students, the athletes, obviously the coaches, and it would be a nice way to revamp that entire gymnasium. So, I don't know, what do you think?
Well,
Comments,
I
thoughts?
think with all the accomplishments this year, we might even run out of wall space, right? If we had individual banners. But I think it's a great idea because you could, at a glance, see a program and see all the wonderful accomplishments that the girls' basketball, the boys' basketball, and you could see over the years the success of our school, because we have tremendous success with our athletes. And then we were saying, you know, for those outstanding athletes, like that win a state wrestling championship, we'll have them showcased. They'll have their own showcase. So I definitely support this idea.
Yeah, I support it also. I think cleaning it up, making it look straightened out, newer, modern is the way to go.
I support looking into it and looking at the price and how much it would cost, because I also want to be able to support some of those emails that came in and looking to the same cost for something like swimming. I would want to be able to look into both of those.
So we have looked into the cost of putting all the teams that we have up and everything, and it's around the 20,000 range. So that would be to redo the whole gymnasium. And that work, if the order would be placed in the next, before the end of April, we would have some sort of discount, so the work would be within the $20,000 and would also be done during the summer, so when the students come back in September, they would have, the project would be completed.
I agree with Ms. Santos. I like the idea of being able to look at a program, in this case, we're looking at girls' basketball, and to see all the achievements and also the longevity of these achievements, now strong these teams have been for all these years. So I prefer this as opposed to the individual banners all over the gym. So.
And I'm sure the banners were great when they were installed, but when you're thinking about banners, they're 30, 40, 50 years old. I think they've been maintained very well by our custodial staff, but after a while, it's part of the natural process. Todd? I didn't think about that, but definitely I'll think about it. It's something that we would have to figure out a way of kind of folding and storing it, and maybe create like almost like thinking aloud, like put it in a frame and post it around a different place. So something like that. Definitely not dispose of them. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you all.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.